This is FinTech Futures at Money20 Europe, and I'm joined by Bruno Mellado of BNP Paribas. Bruno, thank you so much for taking the time out to speak with us. How are you enjoying the conference so far?
Thank you for inviting us, and I'm loving it. A very vibrant atmosphere, lots of young people, lots of talented companies, a lot of relationships to be made, not enough time.
Yes, that sounds good. So, just to get started, we'd like to quickly let us know a bit more about yourself and your role at BNP Paribas.
Yes, so I'm happily enjoying a role of responsibility for payments, which is a place where it was not as busy probably 10 years ago, and in the last 10 years, and it keeps increasing, it's becoming a very vibrant area on how to get money moving fast from one place to another. So this is where I'm responsible for BNP Paribas worldwide, and it keeps us busy.
Sounds great. So, you're here this week to give a talk on tokenized cash and atomic settlement. For those non-attendants, can you tell us a little bit more about that and some of the key takeaways from that?
So it's a very interesting topic. It's a bit complex. So to keep it simple, I try to explain that banking, it's a very old business, and it started by writing on the wall how much people were bringing to store value, which was not money. Then money came up, and then you were keeping track of how much money you had. It started in Amsterdam, actually, in the 1600s, where people were writing in a book, trusted people, how much money you have. And what tokenized cash and digital ledger technology does is basically it reinvents the way that these books are kept in each different institutions, and tries to link them together in a way that it makes money move faster. But at the end, it's not really money, it's the write-up of who has what in which account on which institution that moves faster into a blockchain environment. And using tokenized cash is a way to make this digitally available to exchange against other cash, other currencies, or other assets. So we're in the middle of a reinvention, I think, of the whole notion of value preservation in different institutions, central banks, commercial banks, corporates, or individuals.
And what is it you say that makes atomic settlement different then from other instant payments infrastructure?
Well, atomic settlement is a concept that is difficult to explain, but the simplest concept I have, and I think it's important to keep in mind, is that when you see your account being debited, it's because the money has arrived in the account of your beneficiary. If it's not debited, that means it did not get to your beneficiary, of course, but if it's debited, it's a done deal. You don't have to wonder whether the money got there finally or not. Now, is it easy to get that? Of course not, because today you may send a payment out and have to respond to questions to make sure the money gets there at the end. It may take you 1 hour in the best cases, maybe the whole day if there's a lot of questions, compared to atomic settlement where all these questions should happen before the money is even leaving your account. So money doesn't leave your account if not all the questions are answered in terms of currencies, regulatory requirements, or any data that may be missing from your payment. So you basically inverse the logic to say, first I answer all the questions, then my money actually moves, whereas today the money moves, and then you ask the questions. So it's kind of inversing the experience, which gives more certainty for your money.
Yeah, excellent. That sounds good. And we're hearing a lot about tokenization at the moment. What kind of potential does that technology have, and what kind of use cases are you most excited about there?
Yes, the use cases that I'm more involved in have to do more with global treasury and corporate treasury, because this is where money has sometimes higher value, more risk. If the money is not settled, it costs a lot of money to have it flying around in locations with high interest rates. So where we are mostly focusing in the use cases of large value payments between regions, countries, currencies, how to make sure that money from Europe to Canada goes in a split second. How do you make sure that payments are happening and getting to the account as fast as possible? The more value, the more you have to gain. The lower value, it's convenient, but maybe the cost may not be worth yet the use case. This is where stablecoins are coming in right now, and that trend will continue and will probably take a share of the payments, and it's tokenized. But we believe that the best tokenization trade-off is on commercial bank tokenized money, which means the same as the money that today is held at payment service providers and banks, except that it would be moved in a tokenized form. It has a better trade-off between the the cost of the money and the ability to move the money in a digital and fast way. So we will see probably both trends, tokenized money as commercial bank money or PSP money versus stable coins growing as well as a way to go faster. And these two will have a different timeline. Tokenized bank deposits may take 5 to 10 years to be absolutely there, whereas stable coins are already there, and in this conference, they're everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, on that front, how is the industry's attitude towards digital assets and tokenization evolving at the moment? Because like I say, it seems like stablecoins is the talk of the town at the moment.
Absolutely. In fact, I would be lying if I don't tell you that all probably banks as well and central banks are asking themselves this question: how do we take stablecoins today? Stablecoins are representing about 300 billion worth of assets, mostly dominated by two players, Circle and Tether. The BIS, so the Bank of International Settlements beta report that shows that these stablecoins are moving between countries, sometimes as a matter of improving those countries that have constraints or simply flows that were not flowing, basically, because there were constraints on country currencies or regulations. So the question is, how do stablecoins become more mainstream, not just for those use cases, but use cases of enabling public blockchain use cases? You can think about music, art, other things, but which still need to explode. So I think stablecoin growth will go together with the public blockchain use cases to meet real life situations. But remittances is the first case that we see evolving. And I think all banks are trying to figure out, okay, how should we do this? Do we embrace them? Do we build our own? Do we ignore them? I think you cannot ignore them anymore. The question is how to prepare your bank to deal with stablecoins from others and maybe think about your own stablecoin.
Excellent. What would you say the biggest challenges facing the industry then as we move towards a more tokenized future?
Yeah, I think the industry, there's a lot, but once it's acceptability, is that one of the things about all forms of money is how to make sure that they are accepted no matter where you go. A vending machine, Money20, or traveling on another countries, how does this get accepted? This is where Visa, MasterCard coming with a very clear use case of acceptability. The other challenge is how to make sure if you are regulated, that you can only do things that are regulated and that you are still able to do your own due diligence, not to get in trouble. I think that's another challenge. And the other one is the consumer is actually asking for something to go faster. So you have to move, you have to think about how to render the experience better. And so all these things at the same time. Meeting your regulatory requirements, making sure the consumers continue to evolve and you meet their requirements and their moving needs. And at the same time, of course, that all that makes sense from an economic point of view. Cost and benefit is not so evident, but there's big differences between stable coins, commercial bank deposits, regular cash. There's big differences in terms of costs and risks, basically.
So what kind of work has BNP Paribas been doing in the tokenization sector then? And is there anything in the pipeline you can tell us about now?
Yes, so in the tokenization, I think there's three group of projects. Those that are done together with the public sector, they tend to be extremely interesting, rewarding because you're with public figures and other banks, but they're a bit slower in terms of coming to market. For example, we were the only bank to do the 3 experiments of the European Central Bank on 3 different types of ways to tokenize cash. So we have a view on how Europe should move forward, but of course, Europe, while it's moving forward, it's just one currency. So what we need is the world to move at the same time. Another project which I believe a lot is in Agora. Agora being a project led by the Bank of International Settlements and the IFF, basically gathers public and private. And so we have probably the best of both worlds, meaning a private mindset on how to make it commercially viable, whereas you have the public interest to make sure that this is regulated properly and it meets all the constraints in terms of sovereignty and monetary policy. So Agora is a nice private and public experiment that we're doing to go live next year. And then you have other private projects where we participate, including working, of course, with Swift to see how to introduce digital ledger technology into everyday transactions. Finality is another good experiment where we're not experimenting with a company that involves our bank to actually find ways to use digital technology to settle large value transactions. So the bank is trying to get involved in everything that has the potential to see the light, while at the same time we have to do projects with our clients, like and financials, for example, to try to feed their own blockchain and be able to translate money from bank accounts to blockchain media or instruments tokenized.
It sounds great. Well, thank you again so much for taking the time out to speak with us, Bruno. It's been a pleasure. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you, and it's a pleasure as well, and I look forward to see you again.